What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We have got another edition of Power Rankings. Yes, it's that time of the month. Once a month, we roll out our macro view of the entire 29 teams in MLS. We're ranking them by tiers. I will say, I was surprised by all the volatility. There is a lot of volatility around teams. Sometimes it's difficult to do this because I feel like I just keep saying the same things about the same teams. So I try to do this exercise a little bit blindly, like try to remove as many biases as I can. And there are a lot of teams that either moved up double digits or moved down double digits. And maybe that speaks to my stubbornness to have moved them down earlier and thus maybe overcorrecting. But hey, it is what it is. Here we are. And that's what we got. As always, the numerical data comes from Opta. But the spiritual father is Jeff Reuter for either providing me with that data or answering a lot of basic questions. So thank you, Jeff.
Jeffrey!
And this is kind of sponsored by Dodgeball because, yes, I do look like White Goodman a little bit here.
It's gotta be the hair, Cotton. It's beautiful, feathered, and lethal. You just don't see it nowadays.
Feathered and lethal, Cotton. Anyway, enough jokes at my own expense. Let's get into the power rankings. All right, off we go with our worst tier in MLS. Starting from the bottom here, I'm calling this tier YIKES. It's pretty self-explanatory. 29 New England Revolution, 28 Chicago Fire, and 27 CF Montreal. New England Revolution, they are down 2 from last month. God, they embodied the name of this. Just yikes all around. League worst, 7 points this season, the only team in single digits. League worst, negative 16 goal difference. Caleb Porter's seat has to be absolutely scorching hot, as evident by a couple quotes that he gave this week about how united the team is and how the support of the team is of him and of each other. And let me just say, that is absolutely a thing that you say and you feel the need to say out loud when that is absolutely very true, right? Like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes from here. They are 25th in shots conceded in MLS, and they are somehow also worst in expected goals per shot attempt. That is a very, very bad combination. You don't need to be a data scientist to arrive at that conclusion. But usually how it goes, if you're giving up more shots, it's not a lot of high-quality shots, or it can be watered down by kind of lower-quality shots. To be giving up just both the quantity and the quality of chances they are, that is why they have the worst goal difference in MLS. That is why they're bottom of the league. I don't know, man. What more is there to say? I've said a lot. I hate kind of heaping on criticism and critiques and negativity. So I will end this New England section with one positive note. I'm starting to do more and more annoying calls and texts to sources about what I should be asking about for the summer transfer window. And what I will say from talking to a few people, again, none of which at the club, so maybe it's wrong, but from what I'm hearing, the club is indeed looking for big reinforcements this summer. So the awful start has not shrunk the budget as far as I know. And who knows, maybe it's a target-by-target basis, but it sounds like they are ready to take a big swing, which deductive reasoning means, as I wrote this week, I think Giacomo Veroni, his days have to be numbered. So he's had plenty of chances, plenty of time. So maybe there'll be a revamp with New England this summer. And look, the good news, hey, in MLS, you're never too far out of it, right? I mean, come on, I'm stretching you. I'm trying. Number 28, Chicago Fire. They are down 4. Look, man, I have no feelings on this. I have no more juice. This team has just been a joke. I don't know a more professional or deeper way to say it. Look, it's the same people in charge of the decision-making as the last, 3 coaches and 3 rebuilds. There's no reason, there's no evidence to believe that this next rebuild is going to be done correctly. So, I mean, look, 10 points after 13 games, negative 14 goal difference. It's luck. They're lucky that the New England Revolution have had such a bad start that they've had, because Chicago were able to fly under the radar a little bit, I think, until now, just because of how bad they've been lately. Yeah, look, it's MLS, so, season isn't over. You're always, 3 wins away from being back in playoff contention. Whatever, who cares? Nothing matters. Whatever, man. Like, what is there to believe? I'm sorry to Chicago Fire fans. There's a lot of apathy here. I mean, at least for me, I can't even, I'm sure that you guys are beyond anger as well. Look, Hugo Kuipers, I think is good, but I don't know for sure because no one's creating chances. Shaqiri has to go this summer. But dude, they re-signed Gaston Jimenez. I don't know what else to say. I should or whatever. Who cares? Look, trying to end these with positivity. I will say, Brian Gutierrez, Chris Brady. It's good that they're continuing. They've done really good with youth development and stuff. They just need to have a better finished product around. I think Kellen Acosta is a winning player in the right circumstances, and because they're in second to last place does not make him a losing player, right? Like, there's a lot of problems here. It was always going to take a couple windows. This just reminds me of that sign. It's like, our expectations were low, but like, bleep. You know what I mean? Like, didn't have huge expectations for them, and this falls well below. Speaking of expectations falling well below, number 27, CF Montreal. Down 14 from last month. I'm just going to do a little spoiler. The next tier, I'm calling time to panic, ? Before I could even put Montreal there, the bottom has fallen out. It is a complete death rattle, and they have passed the question of, is it time to panic? It is absolutely time to panic. 8-game winless run across all competitions. The last 3 MLS games is a 5-1 loss to Toronto, their rival. 3-2 loss to Miami, defendable in and of itself, but still another loss. And a 3-1 loss to Columbus Crew. Again, on the face of it, those last 2 results are defensible, but within the context of how the season's going, so you got to find the point somewhere. They're out of the Canadian Championship, lost to a CPL team. Going into that game, supporters groups put out angry messages and said, hey, we're not going to cheer. We're going to stay silent for the first half because what the last results have been and the effort and everything has been unacceptable. So yeah, things are really, really bad right now. And I don't know, man, the reason why they're 14 spots down, I was talking all this optimism and like, look, the schedule's coming. They're going to have a bunch of home games. They've done well on the road this season, but like, well and truly the last 2 months have just straight up not been good enough. The very meager case for Montreal. Mateus Kokoro, Dominic Yankov, Mahala Poku, and Joseph Martinez. All 4 of them have been to degrees of severely hampered by injuries this season. That's the whole entire attack. So at some point, I feel bad, but it's not like those 4 players would have been the ones to stop 5 goals going in against Toronto, right? Like, so the defense is still a big issue, but I will say injuries have not been helpful to this group. Time to panic? ? It's a lot of teams in this one. 26 Sporting Kansas City, 25 San Jose Earthquakes, 24 FC Dallas, 23 Portland Timbers, 22 Atlanta United. Kansas City 3 down from last time, and like I've been more down on them than I think than the average person. So they're falling and falling and falling. 5-game winless run and 12 goals conceded during that run. They have 11 points in 13 matches, second to last in the West. They lead MLS in points dropped from winning positions with 17. That's a lot. It's going to take a lot for them to get overtaken here. Look, they play the Portland Timbers next. There is no such thing as a loser leaves town match in MLS in May. But, 25 San Jose Earthquakes, up 4 from last time. It's funny that, again, I'm talking all this negativity about some of these other teams. San Jose are bottom of the West, like only with 10 points. They are second worst in MLS points drops and winning positions with 15. They had some good vibes at the beginning of this month, and then they had some good vibes at the beginning of this cycle here, and I'm calling this cycle just between power rankings because I'm just going to be self-indulgent. This is my channel. I can say whatever I want. They had good vibes. Obviously, Hernan Lopez came, and he's looking very impressive. Then some severely questionable officiating decisions led to a 3-2 loss at Portland, and then a home loss to struggling Orlando City going cross-country, and then an exit in the Open Cup against USL Championship side Sacramento, and we're kind of back to the bad vibes. Again, the good news is Lopez does indeed look good. I was critical of why it took them so long to sign a DP10 because this was the kind of team that very clearly obviously needed a DP10, and they do not have the talent to they didn't have the luxury to wait. They didn't have enough rope to be like, we can throw away, like, it's okay if we sacrifice some early points because we want to get the right deal. Again, like, none of that necessarily matters if he's really, really good and a really, really great signing. And right now, the early returns are very positive. It is too early to call it or say anything because, Luquinhas looked really, really good in his first half season with the Red Bulls. Kaku had his best time with the Red Bulls over his first half season. I don't know why the Red Bulls came up, but just those are 2 examples of players who started well that didn't go. But, like, at least he looks like a very good signing. So that is the positivity that I can offer for San Jose. 24, FC Dallas, up 4. Waking up a little bit. 4 points versus Houston in the last couple weeks between 2 games. And they beat Austin. Look at that. That's 7 of their 12 points this season, all coming from Texas. Hey, man, rivalries, that's a good jumping point, right? I still don't have a lot new to offer here, and I'm going to sound the same. You know what? I'm just going to play a clip from last month. I can at least see a roadmap as to how this gets fixed. Number one, very easy, very obvious. Start Nkosi Tafari. They have a really bad central defense group. Tafari is actually very good. They're playing a back three and he's not starting. I don't understand. The other way, Jesus Ferreira gets fit. Peter Musa has more help around him. Israel Mendy gets fit and they dictate the game the way they want to play and they start creating more chances. That's how this gets fixed. But this is what I thought about this team last year. And this is what I thought about this team even stronger going into this year with Peter Musa and everything else and the formation change. So while I see the roadmap, I've seen it for 2 years and it's just not happening. Good points, Tom. And might I say, you look very handsome. Thank you. So since that video, Nkosi Tafari started the last 4 games. They only lost once. Go figure. Jesus Ferreira is back to fitness. He's appeared in all 4 of those games, and he started the last 2. He's got 1 goal and 1 assist. And in turn, Peter Musa has 4 goals and 1 assist in their last 5 games. So it can happen. I'm not quite to the point of apathy about this Dallas team like I am with Chicago, but for me, it's the same of, like, why should I keep having faith? I've been having this faith for 2 years that this is what they're going to look like. Again, you can still see the pathway, but they need to prove it to me. Look, next 5 games, Real Salt Lake, LA Galaxy, LAFC, Minnesota, St. Louis. What do you got? It's nut crunch time. Am I allowed to say nut crunch time? That's my channel. I'll do whatever I want. Who cares? Number 23, Portland Timbers down 8. And honestly, this is probably still a little bit unnecessarily positive. I think that the fact that the Timbers are 23rd in my rankings doesn't speak as much to the Timbers as it does. It's a lot of slop right now at the bottom of the league. Look, the Timbers have conceded multiple goals in 10 games in a row. It's almost impressive that they're not dead last in the West. Except there's a very real reality where they could be. That game against San Jose that they got some lucky calls, we'll call it. I think these things even out during the season. I understand that if you're a fan of the team, you have every right to be mad. I get it, but that's just kind of how I look at it in terms of refereeing decisions, whatever. Long way of saying, they got lucky to beat San Jose. And if they lost that game, they'd be on 10 points and San Jose would be on 13. Portland would be bottom of the West right now. So, like, they kind of are. They almost are. But it's a result business, and they have 13 points. That's kind of what matters right now. Are they getting unlucky? Not really. Like, they have the 5th worst expected goals against and the 3rd worst goals against. That's fairly aligned. Like, eye test, too. They look like crap defensively. The good news is the attack is legit. Jonathan Rodriguez looks like a very, very good signing, and they could still add a DP this summer. What I'm told is defensive additions are absolutely coming. So, but that's 2 months from now. There's a lot of games between now and the transfer window opening on July 18th. Can they right the ship before reinforcements arrive? That'll be the tale of their season. Last one in this tier, Atlanta United, down 13. They are on an 8-game winless run. 9 including the Open Cup because they got through on penalties, but that technically counts as a draw. They have 3 straight home losses for the first time in their club's recent history. And before you say maybe that's not a lot of time and whatever, Frank de Boer was really bad. Gabriel Heinze was really bad. There was interim coaches around there. So there was plenty of a sample for some bad coaches or some bad situations to have had this happen. This team is too good and too talented for that to happen. This is a transitional summer, a transitional next 8 weeks probably. Gonzalo Pineda's seat has to be scorching hot. I think it is. It is indeed scorching hot. What I would say is if he does get fired, I think Carlos Bocanegra gets fired too. But, I don't know for sure. But if I had to guess, that's where my educated guess would be. Georgios Giacomakis, Cruz Azul really, really want him. Initial $6 million bid rejected. They're coming back with another bid. Those links are legitimate. He's open to the move. They are going to give him a lot of money. So that's why he's open to it. There's some people asking me if it was Pineda related. It's not Pineda. He loves Pineda from what I've heard. Pineda loves him, right? He's goal scoring forward. He works hard, does all those things. This isn't a locker room thing, right? If I had to make an educated guess right now, does Giacomakis stay or go? I would be leaning towards he leaves for Cruz Azul. I think that there's a deal to be made here. And it's always Thiago on a watch season when it comes to the summer. But Atlanta do want to re-sign him. I know that I've said this like 6 windows in a row or before and after each of the last 3 windows. Atlanta United's top priority and top outcome is if they re-sign him to a long-term contract. They have the money. Like, they want to win. They love him being here. But they understand that he has aspirations and his future's probably in Europe. But will they make a competitive enough offer this summer? Look, they could capitalize on the idea. It's not like they're shopping him around, farming offers, looking for offers. If they don't really come, they could really capitalize this, talking to Thiago, talking to his agents, Like, dude, we'll make you the highest, like one of the highest paid non-Messi players in the league. Like, right? Like, we have the money. We think you're worth it. Tie some of your future to us, and then, hey, whenever the right opportunity comes, whenever the right price comes, like, hey, we didn't reject any bids if no bids came, right? Like, so I think that's a real outcome too. Again, I have no idea what's going to happen. They will reload this summer. They can still add a DP whether or not Giacomakis or Almada leaves, or neither. But obviously, if either one of them leaves, then they'll add another. I'd assume Garth would go 3 DPs and 3 U22 initiatives rather than 2 DPs, 4 U22s, because that's what he's always been on the record about. 3 in-prime designated players is what wins in this league. That's what he did in Seattle, and that's what he tried to do here. And I think that's what they're gonna do. But they still have that flexibility to go to 4 U22 initiative players if they wanted to. Next up, this section is called Stuck in the Mud. Number 21, Nashville SC, and number 20, Seattle Sounders. I named this and grouped it like this before realizing Nashville and Seattle have not moved from the last power rankings. And I just think that worked out really well in terms of stuff. And then Houston Dynamo, number 19. Nashville, no movement. Gary Smith is out. Like I said in one of the recent videos, it's about them trying to take the next step. Who comes in? Veteran coach, rising coach. They've had a whole lot of success with domestic-based signings. Walker Zimmerman, Dax McCarty, Anibal Godoy, Daniel Lovitz, CJ Sapong, Joe Willis, etc., etc. Will they go the same way with coaches? This feels like either a domestic coach or somebody who has experience with that within MLS. Who knows? We'll see. In the interim, it's about getting points. What can they do to keep themselves in the mix until a new coach comes in and then kind of starts to change the squad a little bit this summer as they can? It's going to be a lot of games between now and the summer transfer window, and I don't know how many games there's going to be between now and when they hire a head coach. Obviously, they are going full throttle into that coaching search. I don't think that they can do the interim for a while because Mike Jacobs was talking in his press conference all the time about, we believe in this group. We did the change now when we did because we think that they could accomplish much more. They are much better than this, blah, 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 blah. So they can't have this be a 2-month thing. They need to have somebody in at some point relatively soon, or fans will correctly be upset because, again, they believe in this team. So we'll see what comes next with Nashville. It's no real reason to look into their numbers or anything else because it's going to be a new coach, a new system, new everything else. The only number that matters right now is points. Number 20, Seattle Sounders. They are on a 4-match winless run. And the fact that they are 20, like I was saying about Portland a little bit before them, that's more of a sign of how bad the teams are below them rather than me being super, super optimistic about Seattle. Though I kind of am, right? Like, it's probably tied to biases to having seen this club, this logo, these jerseys, this head coach, and a lot of these key players have so much success year in, year out that I keep assuming that they're going to figure it out. The underlying numbers think I might be right in terms of expected goals and expected goals against, but I have been saying this for a few months, and it has to happen at some point rather than talking about it should happen. Some of their underlying numbers, like they're still 10th in MLS in expected goal difference. That's plus 2.35 versus an actual goal difference of -1. They've been in a lot of tight games. Maybe that changes the points. So there's still optimism here. And a couple of the stylistic numbers that I'm concerned about. They are 21st in passes per defensive action and 18th in direct attacks. It's plotting. That's not a lot of defensive actions and not a lot of transition. So it's slow, and I don't know, maybe that's part of the reason it is what it is. Like, Pedro De La Vega was signed to be a spark plug in the attack. I know that, so he's been hurt for a while, so that's kind of the idea, but hey, we'll see what happens. Houston Dynamo 19, they're down 9 from last time. Ooh. They held themselves together with gum and rubber bands at the beginning of the season. And I thought that they were going to get better when the injured players came back. It's a pretty easy take and a pretty easy deduction to have. But it just hasn't. They have been shut out in 3 of their last 4 games. They lost to Dallas and they drew Dallas. And they lost twice to Austin FC. Bad, 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 both in terms of rivalry and the fact that Dallas have been struggling so much. And Houston, they believe that they're better than Austin. Look at last year and coming into this year, all that. Got to get points from those games, and they just didn't. They have 1 win in their last 6. Their expected goals is second worst in MLS. Reinforcements will come this summer, but as I've said for a few of these teams, that ain't the savior, man. There's 2 months until that happens, and there's a lot of games that comes. If your new signing isn't ready to go within the first week of the transfer window opening, then there's League's Cup break. Pretty much somewhere between 10 or 12 games, and that's not a lot of time to impact the season. Next tier, could go either way. 18 St. Louis, 17 Orlando, 16 DC United. They could go either way. St. Louis City, number 18, down 4 from last time. They're 9th in the West with 16 points. Said it last time, too many draws. Seven draws in 13 games. That's too many. We know this. And it's still surprising because they're still going for games. It's not like they're playing for nil-nils, right? So I don't get it. It's a statistical anomaly. Those things happen. I will say, though, they got the magic back of defensive mistakes that they got to capitalize on from 2023, but it was even better. Instead of a center back passing to João Klaus, Matt Miazga just literally passed the ball in his own net when St. Louis played Cincinnati. But they still lost. So that's the difference between 23 and 24 for them. This team has just been like, meh. 16th in expected goals, 14th in goals. Expected goal difference is negative 0.99. Their actual goal difference is -1. Kind of right on the money. They need more attacking juice. They're still working on a deal for Cedric Tuchart. I hope he signs. Again, if I had to guess, I think he will, but I don't know for sure. But I would hope that he's not the only reinforcement, particularly in the attack this summer. Again, they still have the foundation of a good team. Edouard Lovin was injured for a while. He's a very important player to this team. He's dealing with just an awful situation. His wife has brain cancer. All the best to him, his family, to her, everybody. Like, St. Louis have been really awesome from what I've heard, standing by his side. They've given him time away around the injury, around everything else. They haven't, I don't know, man. Like, some things are bigger than soccer, as much as I hate to admit it sometimes. Like, him coming back, the Cincinnati players wearing armbands with her initials on it, like, that's always going to hit my heartstrings. And look, that matters more than any moron talking about St. Louis 18th in power rankings. Who cares, really, right? Like, so all the best to Edward Lovin, his wife, and family. All right, easy transition. Number 17, Orlando City, up 2 from last time. Now they're up to 16 points after 13 games, and they're 3 games unbeaten. Like, don't raise a banner for this, but my God, this was very, very necessary. Their expected goal difference is 19th in MLS. So this is kind of right along where they should be. Again, they're too talented to be where they are. Unlike some of the teams below them, they are making differences. They are making changes. Last year, they really came on in the second half of the season. I don't know if they have that in them, but I guess I wouldn't rule it out. Some stylistic things that bug me with this team: 25th in direct attacks and 26th in passes per defensive action. It's just passive, slow. It's just not fun to watch, man. It's just not fun. I will say they're lucky to get good news on Robin Jansen. Not lucky in terms of, like, they deserved worse, right? Like, it's just when Robin Jansen went down recently, I was like, oh no, like, if he's out for a long time, that, like, I kind of feared for the worst. I don't know how they overcome that injury. Thankfully, he's not. He's individual trainer right now. I don't know if he'll be ready for the weekend, but it's a week-to-week thing rather than a season-ending injury list thing, which is very good. Same thing with Duncan McGuire. That was a nasty fall, dislocated his shoulder. Not to belittle the pain that must be when Duncan McGuire's in, but escaped without too much long-term harm. He was already training individually. I have no idea when he's going to be back, but we'll see. And we'll see what happens this summer with Duncan McGuire. I'm sure I'll talk about that plenty, so I'm not going to get stuck in here. Lastly, DC United up 1 from the last. They're 9th in the East with 17 points. It's been a turbulent month and a turbulent season. They go up and down. That's why they're so fun, man. It's just big swings, good or bad. They're still overperforming expectations, so kudos to them. Anyway, bury the lead here. Let's get to my favorite thing to track this season, Air Benteke watch. He is first in aerials 1 at 154. Second place is Kevin Long of Toronto FC at 54. Christian Benteke has 100 more aerials won than Kevin Long, and Kevin Long is 54. That's almost triple second place. Fourth place is 36. That's almost fourth place is almost 1/5 of Benteke in first place. It's what a legend. I love it, man. I love it. Anyway, they're continuing to overturn the roster. Mohamed Najeez is out at left back. New left back's coming. I'm expecting much more movement this summer. And I'm also expecting this team to be one that goes 2 DPs and 40-20 initiatives. So they're 2 DPs, Christian Benteke and Matthias Klick. I would just expect younger players to come in rather than, say, another senior DP or DP at all because of how they can structure with the rules. So I'm looking forward to it. This is a very, very fun team to watch. I think that they have their core with Benteke, Klick, Herrera, whoever else. I lost momentum there a little bit, but you know what I'm saying. Again, I thought that this team was going to be bottom of the East, and they're a solid and a fun team this year. So, look, could be much worse. Next tier, in the mix. You just want to be in the mix, baby. 15, Philadelphia Union. 14, Vancouver Whitecaps. 13, Colorado Rapids. Start with the Union. They are down 12 from last time, and I was very surprised by that because I was like, wow, I had them up at 3rd? What the hell was I thinking? And now I remember what I was thinking. The last time we did power rankings, they were the only undefeated team in MLS. Since that day, 6 games played, 5 losses, 1 draw. Ugh. They've slipped down to 8th in the East. They have 17 points after 13 games. 21 goals conceded. What in the hell is going on? Expected goals against is 8th in MLS. Goals against is 19th. I don't get it. Shots conceded, passes per defensive action, expected goals goals against per shot. Those are all good. I don't understand what's going on. Andre Blake just signed a new contract. I know he's been out of the lineup, but I don't think the backup keeper was that bad. Maybe he was, but is it that simple as Blake being Blake again? But I don't know. 4 home losses in a row is straight up unrecognizable. And a 3-0 win over New England snapped a 6-game winless run. So they have, I almost forgot to include that result there. So they are not on a winless run, but they really needed that win. But it was against the worst team in the league right now. What will the summer bring? Will anything happen with Julian Carranza? His contract expires at the end of the year. Can they survive time without Daniel Gazdag when he's with Hungary in the summer? Can they survive time without Jack McGlynn in August? We'll see, man. Look, what this team has done over the last 6 years, I'm giving them benefit of the doubt. They have absolutely earned that between Jim Curtin, Alejandro Bedoya, Jose Martinez, Gazdag, everybody, all of these players, Jack Elliott, Blake, Kai Wagner. They've earned the benefit of the doubt here. So we'll see what happens over the next couple months, but this is a team that I think has just about the longest leash of teams that are struggling, just in my mind. For whatever that's worth, who cares? But that's just kind of where I'm at. 14 Vancouver Whitecaps down 7. Winless in the last 5 games, 3 draws, 2 losses. I'm really disappointed, man. 19 points in 13 games. They should be in the mix around Real Salt Lake, but they're not. So these last 5 games, these are the games where your best player kind of just has to step up once in a while, go supernova, and win you a few points. Brute force you to a few points. That, as I've said a few times, has been my biggest fear around the Whitecaps. I think that they're really solid and a really high floor, but I don't know about their ceiling because how many match winners do they have? So it hasn't happened. A couple underlying stats that I'm shocked. They are dead last in passes per defensive actions and dead last in attack speed. So they're 26th in field tilt, 27th in direct attack. So that means that field tilt, you're defending deeper and the game's being played. So you should be attacking more in transition. Vanni Sartini is a transition kind of coach. They love to run. They love to get out in space. They love to unleash their players. They love to go for it. I don't understand. I'm very, very shocked and surprised at kind of the style of this team. Again, they're picking up plenty of points, and the good news is it's only May. This team is good. This honestly feels like the floor to me. So hopefully it's only up from here, but with those underlying numbers, it is worth monitoring. 13, Colorado Rapids. They are coming off a very tough 5-3 rivalry loss at Real Salt Lake, but they are still in an excellent spot. They are in 21 points in touching distance of the top 4. And if they're just in the mix for the top 4, whether they finish 4th, 3rd, 6th, or 7th, whatever, if they're just mostly in the mix all season, that's absolutely a positive season. That's a successful season. They were so bad last year. There was so much turnover. So many things happened. So for them to possibly, for them to be where they are right now, and if they stay here, as I think that they will, very, very good season. The style is working. All the underlying numbers say so. I ran through them last time. I'm not going to do it again. But again, it's a transition pressing team. And I can just give you the numbers that show that. So it's good. 3 goals and 5 assists in the last 8 games of Georgi Mihailovic. That's good. I still think he has another level to hit, maybe a little slight level to hit and kind of carry games a little bit more. But he's putting up the numbers. They're 8th in MLS in expected goal difference, so they are where they should be, and maybe even a little bit better. This summer, another big one. So they still have talks ongoing with Palmeiras for a permanent deal for Rafael Navarro. The purchase option is $4.5 million. They're not going to hit that. They're trying to get it lowered. But he's scoring a lot of goals. So that makes it difficult. That puts Palmeiras in a good spot. What I will say, to my own surprise, they're trying desperately to structure this deal where he could be Max Tam and not a DP. I didn't even know that was on the table. So that's something to watch. That would be a masterclass in roster building if they were able to get it done. I don't know if they're going to be screw it, we'll walk away if not. Or if there is no way to make that happen, if they'll have him as a DP. But we'll see. Depends on Palmeiras. Next section. What if they really are good? Number 12, Charlotte FC. Number 11, Austin FC. Number 10, Toronto FC. And number 9, Minnesota United. These are 4 teams by overwhelming consensus in the preseason rankings for myself, The Athletic, MLSoccer.com, Apple TV, anybody national media doing rankings and predictions. We all looked dumb. Overwhelmingly, the majority of us had all 4 of these teams out of the playoffs. And look at them now. Number 12, Charlotte FC. They're up 4 from last time. They got 4 straight clean sheets. Hello. Did not the first 2 years of this team. That's a foreign sentence. 4 straight clean sheets. Well done. And 2 of those clean sheets were against Portland and LA Galaxy. Those are 2 very good attacks. So it's not like they're just picking off, New England and Chicago. Sorry for the strays, but whatever. 13 goals against with a 14.9 expected goals against. It's not a fluke, man. They're third in expected goals against. Melanda's awesome. Andrew Privet, a really great developmental story from Crown Legacy. What they're doing with Crown Legacy is really, really good, and it's paying dividends already in the first team with him. Petkovic, I know Petkovic should have been a first-team player, just roster rules and whatever, but still, they've graduated a lot of players from that second team, so they've both been successful on the field with that team, but what the hell? Stupid technology. Anyway, they've been successful with that team, both on the field, but more importantly, in terms of developing players for the first team. The next 2 months for Liel Abada will be key. He's got to be the guy right now. He's the only real DP. Like Breck Diakre is technically listed as a DP, but that's just saving GAM. Like he'll be bumped off when new signings come. Anyway, Liel Abada, he's been out for a little bit with injury. He might return this weekend. We don't know. We'll see. But he'll be back very soon, whether it's this weekend or their next game. He's got to be the guy. He's $8 million signing, or whatever the number was. He looked really good in his moments, and then he went out with injury. They need him to carry this team. This summer it's going to be big. They can add 2 DPs. I told you that they want one to be Marco Royce. If they don't get him, they're going to continue to be ambitious. I am certain. It is early. Again, the window opens July 18th, so they have plenty of time to cycle through options. Again, they're going to put the high press on Marco Royce after the Champions League final, around it, whatever, talking with his camp and then him to see if they can get that deal done. Again, if not, plenty of time to go to the next targets and make deals happen. So, Charlotte FC is going to be one of the teams to watch this summer. 11, Austin FC. They're up 15. Let me just get it out of the way. I know the game's not played on a spreadsheet, mate, but they are still third worst in MLS in expected goal difference at -7. Their actual goal difference is +2. That's a 9-goal swing. Just had to point that out, and maybe that's just me saying this is why they're 15 up. I should have had them higher last time, but I was pointing to all the underlying numbers, the eye test, stuff like that. A couple late goals from Juice. He was like, are they really this good? I don't know. Nothing else to say. Good for you, Austin. Well earned. Sorry for taking too long to put you up here. They have the second most points gained from losing positions this year in MLS at 10. And going back to the expected goals, so look, overperforming by 9 goals is not sustainable, but a little bit like this team has the individual talents in both 18s that they can bank on overperforming the metrics to some extent. Sebastian Driussi is special. You saw that in 2022. He helped carry them all the way up in the West in the Western Conference Final. When he's cooking, man, it's great, right? And he's somebody who can do special things. Then he wasn't as good last year, and they were bad. Wasn't the only reason, but it was part of it. And then in the other box, you have Brad Stuver, as you've seen literally his entire time as a starting goalkeeper in this league. He's awesome. He's been awesome. This isn't a surprise, but it's been a great season. I don't want to note that. For me, it's him, Matt Freese, and Roman Celentano. Those are my current top 3 for 2024 goalkeeper of the year. Obviously, plenty of time left, but just want to point that out, that he's been either the best or a top 3 best goalkeeper in the league this year. Team's reloading this summer. I told you that Usman Bukhari is on his way. Deal's being finalized. Nothing's done yet, but times are good to get in Austin, and there's plenty of reason for optimism. Number 10, Toronto FC, up 15 from last week. Look, this season has been really fun to watch. They overperformed to start the season. We celebrated. They got punched in the mouth. And then I said maybe I overrated them, but it's still impressive nonetheless, blah, 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 whatever I said. And then instead of slowly regressing down the table like a team who's actually bad would have done, like, oh, you had a couple good weeks, congrats, like, screw off. Kick rocks, kid. Instead of that, they ate that right hook, and then they just got up and just started unloading punches, just swinging for the fences. Some missed, but most of those punches landed. They got 3 wins in their last 5, including the thrashing of CF Montreal. Federico Bernardeschi, man, I feel like I say it every month, but I can't say it enough. How improbable this season has been, this outcome, like all of this. Just well done to him. Again, deserves all the credit in the world. John Herman, that coaching staff, very, very impressive for all parties. Shout out to my 1860 Munich Football Manager 2020 legend, Prince Owusu, for taking over that number 9 shirt for Toronto FC. He's a starting center forward, as he should be. I loved that dude back then. I remember when they signed him, I was probably the most excited person. Like the media, it was like, oh my God, they signed Prince Owusu. There's no reason to know that except for Football Manager, so thank you. The goal difference is aligned with expected goal difference. So, like, they're not over before. It's not like they're getting crazy lucky. And they have the special talent to overperform those metrics. There's still improvements to come. They've gotten next to nothing from Richie Larea because he's been injured this whole time. Osorio is kind of been in and out of the lineup a little bit with injury, and he's been out for a couple games. And Insigne just got back from injury, and it's still needing to kind of hit form. Like, this team could be better. Like, this isn't like the high point. Might not be the high point of the season, I should say. There's still room to grow. What they need is more help in central defense. We know this. But, man, this roster got overhauled so much quicker than I thought. So shout out to Jason Hernandez and the front office staff for retooling as they could, and shout out to John Herdman and the head and his coaching staff for taking, miscast pieces from last year and making them better and making them fit and doing good man management and good tactical work. Number 9, Minnesota United, up 9 from last time. What a start to the season by Khalid El-Hamad in the Eric Ramsey era. And they're doing this with absolutely nothing but headaches from Emmanuel Reynoso and only 2 goals from Timu Pukki. That's it from the DPs. That's it. Like, it's incredible. Robin Lod really is this good. He's really fun to watch. He's one of the most, he's like one of the hipsters' favorite players because, he doesn't overwhelm you with, crazy pace or ball striking ability or flair or whatever, but, he just always seems to make the right decision. His work rate's unreal. He's so good at so many different things, which is why he can play so many different positions. He's awesome as this free 8. I don't know, man. Shout out to Robin Lod for his season. Really great managing by Eric Ramsey, and really great low-key roster building by Khalid El-Hamad in the front office. Rosales at left back's been another stroke of genius. Some young players like Taliano Oluwusi. I don't know, man. Just go down the roster. This team has no business being this good. So the players deserve a ton of credit. Ramsey deserves a ton of credit. Front office, all that. So what's next? Get Reynoso out and get a new DP in. Like I said, Jolos are in talks, advanced talks to sign Reynoso, whether it's he goes there or whatever. He's gone this summer. So bring in a new DP. I'd love to see kind of a goal-scoring winger, but another killer free 8 next to Robin Lod would be pretty cool too. I don't know. Very excited to see where they go. 2 more sections to go. This one, Outer Ring Trophy contenders. 8 LA Galaxy, 7 New York Red Bulls, 6 New York City FC, and 5 LAFC. Start with the Galaxy, down 6 from last time. They are winless in their last 5, 4 draws and a loss. That's a tough stretch. Their strong start keeps them in the top 4 in the West for now, and that's why that early form is so important for a team to hit the ground running despite so many new signings and key new signings, particularly in the attack. One issue, they have the second worst expected goals against in MLS at 24.5. Their 21 goals against is 19th worst in MLS. That needs to be fixed. They want Royce, as I've reported, and they think he'd come on a max TAM deal. So this isn't a replacement for Pooch or something, right? So that would be absolutely unreal if they could swing it. We'll see. But most importantly, that's just adding strength to strength. Royce, honestly, got to be a luxury player for them. Diego Fagundes is almost a luxury player for them right now. He's an overqualified, rotation player. He would start for a lot of other teams. And then they could add Royce to that mix or something. But what they really need is Gaston Brugman to be fit and firing all season. He's so important. The with-without metrics with him are really good. Eye test backs that up. So other than that, and there's nothing to buy in that regard, there's no scouting to do to try to keep him perfect. I don't know where the obvious moves are. Obviously, they need the defense to be improved, but maybe Jay O'Neal coming back is that answer. And so if they don't get Marco Royce, maybe they throw the max TAM at something like that, or who knows. So there's nothing really obvious at this point that this team needs to do. It's just figuring it out on the field. Number 7, New York Red Bulls, down 3. They are 4th in the East on 23 points, but there's some distance between them and the top 2. They have an expected goals against of 17 and a goals against of 21. That is very, very weird for a Red Bull team. They only have 1 clean sheet in the last 9 games. Very, very weird for a Red Bull team. You know what's even weirder? 24th in passes per defensive action. That is the most insane. That next to the Christian Benteke, how much he's leading first to second and aerials 1. Those are the 2 most crazy stats this season. I can't believe it. And this is, who cares, right? This is such a deep underlying number, but I never thought I'd see the Red Bulls outside the top 5. Hell, I never thought I'd see them second, let alone 24th. That's crazy. But they are still 2nd in direct attacks and 7th in long pass share. So the Red Bull style is still there. It's just, I don't know, man. It's weird because it seems like they're getting into duels too, but I don't know. Who knows? For me, I think that they'll take a big swing at center forward with a DP deal this summer. We'll see if they get it done. The budget is there at least, is as far as I'll go. Maybe I'll walk that back a little bit. The Timo Werner links were real. Tottenham hasn't announced anything on his future yet, so we'll see. Again, I'll cut the section off because I'll just say the same things about Emil Forsberg is really good, and that's why I believe in this team. The defense should get better. These numbers should even out because they've had so much so much data that shows and eye test that this is a good defensive team. I don't know what's going on. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. I've said that every time. So let's move on. Number 6, New York City FC. Up 14. They just beat the New York Red Bulls 2-1. Big win. That's 6 wins in the last 7, man. And they've been a lot of ho-hum close wins. It's been a lot of just getting business done. Hasn't been any like sparks of like a 4-0 win, right? So they kind of flew under the radar. They're 9th in expected goal difference. So they're underperforming their goals scored. Coincidentally, Mounsef Bekrosh scored his first goal of the season. and looking forward, maybe Tallis Magno goes and a new DP can come in. But Hans Wolf is playing much better. Took a bit to get him going. And the last 7 games with the 6 wins, this is the best case scenario for a team that doesn't have like a clear top tier talisman. Santi Rodriguez is probably the go-to guy, but other teams have Hani Mukhtar and Denny Bouanga and Emil Forsberg, right? Like, no disrespect to Santi Rodriguez, he's just not quite in that category. But this team has a lot of potential match winners. Santi, Hannes, Bakrar even, kind of, Julian Fernandez, whoever. They have so many potential and potential players who could step up, but they just don't have like that one consistent that they look to when they need, like when Tati Castellanos was supernova before he left. So that's why this team can have the early frustration to start the year, and then also this run of 6 wins in 7 games. So it's something to be cognizant of, but this is the best case scenario, whereas the early part of the season was the worst case scenario. So we'll see if that balances out or which direction that leans in. They have to be ahead of the New York Red Bulls for me because they just beat them. But if you made me pick who I'd rather have for the rest of the season, I think I'd very narrowly take the Red Bulls. And it would just go back to that. Like, I believe that you need a top-tier talent to really make a difference. Like, I think that NYCFC's floor is probably higher, but the Red Bulls' ceiling is higher because of Forsberg and maybe whatever else they bring in terms of DP. But New York City FC are legitimately good. If they play like this, they can win a trophy. Number 5, LAFC, up 1. They are still lurking within the pack in the West. But they still have the best expected goals and expected goal difference by far in MLS. And I wonder what's going to happen when they place France's all-time leading goal scorer, Olivier Giroud, in the lineup this summer. I wonder what's going to happen, right? The defense has been worrying, but they kept back-to-back clean sheets in MLS play, which was very, very necessary. And then they kept a clean sheet against Loudoun United in the Open Cup. And, dude, I have absolutely no idea why Cherundolo was playing Denny Bouanga at home from the start against Loudoun United. But Bouanga's a cyborg, so of course he's going to be 100% fit and he and fresh and everything else. The guy just doesn't get tired. It's unreal. So anyway, look, they still have more room for more moves after Olivier Giroud comes. So again, I'm very high in this LAFC team, and I think for very good reason. Final tier, trophy contenders. 4 Columbus Crew, 3 Real Salt Lake, 2 Inter Miami, and a new number 1 FC Cincinnati. Let's go back to 4. Columbus Crew, down 3 from last time. Look, dude, I get it. 7th in the East. I don't really care. They have a game in hand right now over the teams in front of them. If they won that game in hand, they'd immediately go to 3rd. So it's just arbitrary. It's stupid. More importantly, they're in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. So there's literally nothing to suggest to me that this team isn't an apex predator in MLS. Fixture congestion and focusing on the Champions League, as they should, is very easy to point to as to why they are where they are in the regular season standings. And who cares where they are in May, right? Like, there's no big worry. All the pieces are the same. The style is the same. All that stuff, right? Like, the underlying numbers don't love them, but I think this is a good time to point out my stance on this, is that it is as dumb to blindly follow the numbers 100% as it would be to blindly ignore the numbers and look 0%. For me, there's context and nuance. A phrase that I love is data informed. That's the sweet spot for me, particularly in analysis. So that's my philosophy. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but that's why the Committee of One has the Columbus Crew still in the top tier trophy contenders, because look, they have a final already in a couple weeks. So by the definition of trophy contenders, they're contending for a trophy right now. Whatever. Next. 3 Real Salt Lake. They're up 8 from last time. Hey, Real Salt Lake, get used to being in this group of MLS teams and the weight of expectations that come with it. If you fall out of the Shield race, or if you stumble this summer, you will be critiqued in the same way that Inter Miami, FC Cincinnati, Columbus, LAFC, LA Galaxy, you will be critiqued in the same way that those teams would be. You cannot play the underdog card anymore. You cannot play the nobody believes in us card anymore. You cannot just say X-dog, all that crap. You are legitimately a heavyweight in 2024 Major League Soccer season, and you should be treated as such. Anyway, 2nd in goal difference, 7th in expected goal difference. The defense is very strong, and the attack is, I think, where their bread and butter is. Chicho Arango is an A-list star. Andres Gomez is taking the leap. That's been so much fun to watch. That makes life so much easier for Luna and Barajas because it's a running mate for Chicho Arango, and Chicho Arango makes life easier for everybody else around him. So Chicho as the A-list guy, and then a lot of really good players next to him. And Andres Gomez is kind of becoming the second guy when we thought it was going to be Luna. But that's why I love the talent in this team. It's so complementary, and there's a lot of it, and a lot that either makes sense together or without. Like, there's different combinations to play, and this team can still add a DP in this summer. Man, I really hope they do. I really hope that they really go for it. And I think that they'll keep Diego Luna until the winter at least. But that's more of like an educated guess just based on some conversation I'm having rather than a definitive absolutely not going nowhere, right? Like, so we'll see. Things can always change for the right offer. But please go in with a DP this summer or go in with a significant investment, a significant signing. Capitalize on this moment, please. Number 2, Inter Miami. They are best in MLS in points gained from losing positions with 20. Second place has 10. I don't know if that's sustainable, but you throw out the numbers when it's Lionel Messi and the rest of this team. On the bad news side, Nicolas Freire is out for the season with a torn ACL. I'm sure that they'll try to find a veteran replacement for him, but they won't have much room against the cap. And Freire was looking pretty solid and was very clearly the starter next to Tomas Aviles instead of Sergei Kristov. So Tomas Aviles needs to be fresh and play borderline every minute and play every minute at a pretty high level for Miami for the rest of the season. There's not a lot of depth rotation insurance behind him and Kristov. That's a lot to put on a 20-year-old center back or however old Aviles is at the moment. Lionel Messi is gone soon for the Copa America. Can they keep pace in the Supporters' Shield race and remain at least in striking distance so that when, post-Leagues Cup break, when there's the 12 games or 10 games left or whatever, they could hit it sprinting trying to get that shield. Julian Gressel, Tomas Aviles, Drake Callender are all constants. That was expected, but very, very necessary. Sometimes you need to point out the obvious things that worked out as designed. Busquets has played in all 15 MLS matches for them, which is surprising. Guess who's 5th in minutes for them in MLS? Luis Suarez. That is shocking. That is not how I would have driven it up. It's not what I expected. He's got another 350 minutes in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Will he hold up at this rate? Particularly when they're going to need to lean on him more when Lionel Messi's gone. At least they have Leo Campana. That's a very, very strong option to rotate with, but they haven't really rotated with him too much. So that's something to watch this summer for me. Inter Miami, what more can you say? One of the very, very best teams in the league. And just enjoy the time that we have with Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Alba. Man, it's pretty cool. But number 1 is FC Cincinnati, up 7 from the last one. This is my new pick for the Supporters' Shield. I am jumping ship. Sorry, Orlando. If Cincinnati wins the Shield, don't give me much credit. Don't give me any credit because obviously my pick was wrong. But for right now, recalibrating, I would take them over Miami. They're on 30 points, and they're currently technically leading the Shield race on points per game because they have a game in hand on Miami. They're controlling games much more than they have in the past. They're 9th in possession and 24th in long pass share. That is atypical for an air quote pressing transition team. So they're evolving and evolving for the better and evolving around the pieces they have. Pavel Buka is more of like a possession 8 than Junior Moreno was. So they're playing to the strengths of their team, particularly the defense. The defense is exceptional. First in MLS in goals against at 11. First in expected goal difference at 13.7. Roman Celentano should be on the national team radar. And while they'll be without Miles Robinson for the Copa America, they're deep, man. I think the defense is going to be fine. They'll still have Miazga, Celentano, and Obi Nwobodo as the kind of the 3 pillars. And Ian Murphy's been really good this season. They still have Hagelin. They have Kip Kelly. They have options to take up that spot. Don't want to pretend like Miles Robinson is a replaceable player, right? But they'll be able to be fine for a month. In the attack, Lucho Costa is out of his goddamn mind. He's the best non-Messi player in MLS, bar none. He's got 7 goals and 9 assists in 1,200 minutes. He's scored or assisted 12 of Cincinnati's last 13 goals. He's a madman. Kevin Kelsey has settled in very quickly. He's fitting very well. That shows that not only does he have technique and work rate and all that stuff, he's got a good soccer brain too. So very, very impressive by him, impressive by everybody at the club to help him kind of feel settled so quickly. And the attack is fine right now because Lucho Costa's a superhero. What if they get a better DP9 in the summer if they're able to get out of Aaron Bupenza's deal? What will it look like then? Because I think the defense, they're not overperforming. I think that that's real. I think that they're the best defense in the league, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season. Lucho Costa can be a one-man attack. It's like it doesn't even matter. But what if they get a DP9 that is really killer? I don't know, man. Lots to like for FC Cincinnati right now. Whew. All right. That'll do it for Power Rankings today. I feel like I've just talked and written notes and done a lot of stuff. Yeah. don't have much more else to say. If you're still listening to this, you're an absolute legend. I appreciate you. Appreciate you guys catching in. Power rankings are fun. Monologuing pretty heavy, though. Maybe next time I'll bring in a guest. Who knows? I'm figuring it out. This is a committee of one. This is a dictatorship when it comes to power rankings. Only my vote. That's all that matters. All right, guys. Appreciate you. Cheers.